So given the rationality on this, prevent, vision, see how the future is changing, make a difference, why don't we do this, right? Is that a fair question? It seems pretty obvious. Why don't we do it? Now, when I interview people around the world, this is what they tell me. Reason one, we're actually very stupid. And you'll say, well, not me, maybe you're right. But when they interview people who call themselves American Republicans, 30% believe that Aladdin's homeland Agrabah should be bombed. Now, is there anyone very clever who would want to tell me why that's a financial mistake? Okay, it doesn't exist, thank you. So that would be a bad spending, right? Now, what's even stranger is 12 million people, and I apologize for those of you born in the US, I'm not picking on Americans today. 12 million people believe lizard people run the planet. So people who are actually lizards, 12 million believe they're the prime ministers, presidents, mayors of this planet. So now I said, well, this is madness, right? Well, then I have my friends say, no, Sohail, you're a very closed-minded person. I go, me? They go, yeah, open up. You don't like to hang out with conspiracy people. I said, no, actually, I don't like conspiracy people. But they said, yeah, you need to open up and change your view. I said, okay, I'll change my view. What do I need to learn? Once I spend time with conspiracy people, it hit me, they actually misunderstand metaphor. So when they've done research on people who rise up, the political change, become prime ministers, become world leaders, the part of their brain related to compassion drops dramatically. They become metaphorically cold, like lizards. Then I understood. They're actually connecting with the part world leaders aren't compassionate to pain, they're thinking about power. And the neuroscience actually supports that. And you have Dr. Simone, who's a neuroscientist, working with your counsel. If you don't believe me, ask her later. Just don't do brain surgery with her. 2 is we're piecemeal. We don't think deep strategy. We don't think systemic. My partners from the former Yugoslavia, every year it floods there. Every year the government knows it's going to flood. And so the response is very easy. Let me buy some sandbags. And that's not just the former Yugoslav. This is a global issue. It's piecemeal. They have not thought through, where are we going? What do we do differently? 3rd, and I don't. I wish I could apologize to the Trump supporters, but I won't. The 3rd one is whether it's back to the Islamic State gang, everyone wants to go back to the past. Make something great again. So we're always trying to go back to the good old days. So that's kind of the 3rd fallacy. Instead of engaging, co-creating a new future, we get nervous, anxious, let's go backwards. The 4th is we adapt when we shouldn't. That's the hardest thing, because everyone says, no, let's adapt to the future. I said, no, don't adapt, change it. So this is in Hong Kong. I run a course for Interpol every year there, and the thing I've seen over the years is very scary. Everyone's got used to the sun disappearing. In this case, well, let's just take a picture of how it used to be. When I'm working in Taiwan, last year I was there for 2 months, I asked my professor colleagues, I kind of noticed we've not had sun for 2 months. And they go, yeah, Chinese smog. And I said, okay. Then I ask again, and then they'll be right with you. Then they say, well, they get so used to it that they forget about that, in fact, the sun has disappeared. They accept it. Go ahead.
Most people don't change.
Yeah.
They just adapt because they feel that they don't have any power.
Of course. It's every level. That's what's more challenging. I was presenting to the head of Interpol, head of AFP, head of Europol. You know what they said? They said, I can't change the world policing system. I have no power. I said, oh my God, if you 3 can't, what about the poor citizen? So there's that feeling of, and that's the whole idea here. If you don't empower yourself, if you think someone else will do your future, you'll lose agency. So by understanding the possible futures, you take back your future power. Perfectly said. Thank you. 5th is, again, we ignore the data. So this is, this is a bit of tough thinking. Look at the data. There's good data everywhere. Now, sixth, I apologize to the person who talked about the elderly. And I know you'll yell at me later. My wife said, Sohail, please don't show that image. It's offensive. And I said, you're right, but I love it. So this is when you don't take your power. If you take your power, you get this. I taught my mother how to use an iPad in her late 70s. And my technique was, I said, I have an iPad for you. She said, oh, thank you, I love you. I said, no, not so quick. It's $500. And she goes, I'm 78. I go, yes, you are. And I said, if you practice every day this week, I'll reduce it to $250. So she goes, oh, what son did I raise? What a horrible son. And she practiced every day till she figured out how to slide and move the apps. The day before I left, if you agree to call me once a week, it's free. It's been great. Now she's 84, it's getting harder. But in her youth, in the 70s, she was really quick at it. So we can act earlier. Now let me ask you the next question. Not what others do, this is the tougher one. What fallacy do you make when you think about the future? So not what government does, someone else does. What do you do? What's the one mistake you make? If I had my wife and kids, they'd give you 10 mistakes I make. I mean, 20 probably. So what's the mistake you make when you think about the future? Take again 10 seconds. So think it through. Confess to your person sitting next to you, and they can say what you said. So what's the mistake you make? Okay, let's come back. Anyone willing to dab with their neighbor and tell them the mistake they make? Anyone?
John. Well, in the past, John, it was just not doing it.
Yeah.
So change it. Do it.
Yeah. So discounting the future, it will. I have one of my friends, he's been smoking for 30 years. He said, why don't you stop? He goes, you know the data. He goes, well, that's in the future. I'll get cancer in the future, not today. And of course, when you're in the future, it's today, right?
Yes.
It's never in the future, it's now. So exactly, you didn't just do it. Fantastic. Anyone else willing to confess? One? Oh, a lot of confessions suddenly. Okay, go ahead.
The predictions are obvious, so why don't we fix it?
So that's the mistake you keep on making. Okay, so when you see the data, why don't you fix it then? Because you said it's obvious. Why don't you do it?
Well, I don't have the power.
Okay, so your mistake is you believe you don't have the power. Okay, so then the mistake is, how do I find power, right?
That's the answer.
Yeah. Well, so the mistake is, I believe I don't have power. The answer is, how do I empower myself? Person behind?
Thinking the future is a lot further away than it is.
Yeah, brilliant. Yes.
For instance,
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know, it was forever away.
Yes.
Now we have all the
Yeah.
technology.
So your future was 22nd century, but it's today. Okay. Anyone else with a personal mistake, please?
We're all afraid of change.
Yeah. Okay. So say more about that.
I think it's the fear of the unknown. We don't
Yes.
know what it is. We
Yes.
portray it as something out there, but
Yeah.
we probably have to change.
Yeah.
It's the last thing we want.
Yeah. Fair. So this is the whole thing. I'm trying to, yes, external world we have to shift, and also how I see the world I have to shift. And again, I've learned that from my kids and my partner, who tell me every day. Now, that's the personal part. The second part of it, of course, you have to have structured methodology. This is science plus art. We're not going to spend our time doing this today, but it's a structured approach to think about the future. So those of you more into it, there's our website, hundreds of books and articles, but that's not today's focus. But just those of you who want strong theory, it's available.